You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top films that reflect what it's really like for lawyers, both inside the courtroom and out.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Number 10, Judgment at Nuremberg.
Is it not true that the prosecution asked you to come here? That it was very disagreeable for you to come here?
It is always very disagreeable to live over those times.
Judgment at Nuremberg tells the fictionalized tale of the Third Nuremberg trial. In the film version, several German judges are on trial for sentencing so many people to concentration camps. Both the prosecutors and the court are under pressure to go light on the judges. With the Cold War ramping up, West Germany was an important geopolitical ally.
A country isn't Iraq. It's not an extension of oneself. It's what it stands for. It's what it stands for when standing for something is the most difficult.
Their struggle reflects that of the defendants. Can judges truly be independent while operating in large political systems? The prosecutor refuses to bend under pressure and chooses instead to make his case. His cross-examinations are a textbook example of how to flesh out a witness's story to maximum effect in court.
The prosecution is not calling the defendants to account for violating constitutional guarantees or withholding due process of law. The prosecution is calling them to account for murder.
Number 9, Michael Clayton.
So what are you? What are you? You're not a lawyer?
Not the kind you need.
What kind is that?
A trial lawyer. Somebody who can see this all the way through. That's not what I do.
Tony Gilroy's film follows George Clooney's Michael, a fixer at a big city law firm. It's a tale of murder, guilt, and backroom deals. When a lawyer handling a lawsuit for a Monsanto-like company has a breakdown, Michael is enlisted to clean up the mess. The true-to-life legal grind behind the scenes of a big case provides the backdrop to murder and intrigue. Hundreds of millions are at stake, and the lawyers at the firm spend long, frantic hours on the case. The company's internal lawyers use whatever means necessary to protect it.
You have to contain this.
Contain?
Right. Well, that's my question. What's the option that we're looking at along those lines?
The film leaves the audience uneasy. We all know just how much of a legal shield money can provide powerful bad actors.
I have no criminal record in the state of New York, and the single determining criterion for involuntary incarceration is danger. Is the defendant a danger to himself or others? You think you got the horses for that?
Number 8, Witness for the Prosecution.
Leonard Vaux left the house at 7:30 and returned at 25 minutes past 9. Did he in fact return at 25 past 9?
No. He returned at 10 minutes past 10.
Christine, what are you saying? It's not true. You know it's not true.
The 1957 Agatha Christie adaptation, Witness for the Prosecution, certainly takes some dramatic liberties. Charles Laughton stars as a barrister hired to defend Tyrone Power in a murder trial. Marlene Dietrich plays the eponymous witness, the defendant's wife who testifies against him.
Leonard has a way with women. I only hope he will have an all-woman jury. They will carry him from the courtroom in triumph.
She later appears in disguise to present the defense with exculpatory evidence. It's a classic noir. Laughton navigates a labyrinth of deceit to finally find the truth. The legal realism of the film takes the form of a philosophical debate. Laughton sees the legal system as a vessel for truth and justice. Dietrich is a realist. To her, justice comes to those who seize it. We see that the legal system, susceptible to legal trickery, often promotes closure over justice.
Leonard is free and we did it. We? Remember? When I came to see you and you said that no jury would believe an alibi given by a loving wife no matter how much she swore her husband was innocent, that gave me the idea.
What idea?
The idea that I should be a witness. Not for my husband, but for the prosecution.
Number 7, Erin Brockovich. Erin Brockovich is the true story of the legal fight on behalf of the residents of Hinckley, California. With the help of a plucky, brash, and bold Brockovich and her law firm, the residents sue Pacific Gas and Electric Company, or PG&E. The town represented a large cancer cluster in a county where PG&E illegally dumped hexavalent chromium into the water.
PG&E told her about the chromium.
Well, get this, they had a seminar.
They invited about 200 residents from the area, had it at the plant in this warehouse, telling them all about chromium-3 and how good it is for you, when all the time they're using chromium-6.
The difficulty in such cases is proving causality.
First of all, since the demur, we have more than 400 plaintiffs, and let's be honest, we all know there are more out there. They may not be the most sophisticated people, but they do know how to divide, and $20 million isn't shit when you split it between them.
As any Stats 101 student will tell you, correlation doesn't necessarily prove causation. Through months of legwork and investigation, Brockovich eventually located internal company documents that proved the case.
He's gonna make them pay $333 million.
Number 6, the verdict. The case at the heart of Sidney Lumet's The Verdict is a simple one at its core. A woman is improperly given anesthesia during childbirth, resulting in a coma and long-term care. But this is 1982 Boston, and the hospital is Catholic. The wheels of politics and corruption turn against the plaintiff's lawyer, played by Paul Newman.
That poor girl put her trust into the hands of two men who took her life.
Corrupt medical professionals alter intake forms. A corrupt judge stymies the plaintiff at every turn. A corrupt firm spies on the plaintiff's lawyer.
A patient riddled with complications, with questionable information on her medical charts.
We did everything we could.
To save her and to save the child.
Yes.
You reached down into death,
My
didn't
God, we tried to save her.
Still, while the verdict is overly dramatized, there are many nuggets of truth within. In real life, the powerful do often have disproportionate advantage in court. They try to play the long game, playing plaintiffs and their counsel against one another.
All I want on this trial was a fair shake. Okay? Push me into court 5 days early. I lose my star witness, and I can't get a continuance, and I don't care. I'm going up there, I'm gonna try it, I'm gonna let the jury decide.
Number 5, A Few Good Men.
I don't understand. You're admitting evidence of a flight that never existed.
Well, we believe it did, sir.
A Few Good Men, like most lawyer movies, suffers from Perry Mason syndrome. In real life, a star witness is rarely goaded into impeaching themselves on the stand.
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
Setting that aside, the Aaron Sorkin play turned Rob Reiner film is a favorite among lawyers. Few legal dramas are willing to examine the nature of culpability within systems. The defendants in the case are accused of murdering a Marine whose incompetence threatened unit cohesion. The death was the result of a disciplinary hazing gone too far.
I think Santiago should be transferred off the base immediately.
He's that bad, huh?
The hazing, a code red, was ordered both by the defendant's lieutenant and their colonel. The film explores this culpability, forcing us to examine our institutions and the people who comprise them.
Any chance Lieutenant Kendrick left your office and said, the old man is wrong?
No.
Number 4, Anatomy of a Murder.
What's your experience as a defense lawyer?
Not very much.
How do I know you can handle my case?
Well, I guess you don't know. Shall we talk about it?
Unlike many movies of the era, Anatomy of a Murder was shot entirely on location. It was shot in a real courtroom in Michigan, where the story takes place. Jimmy Stewart stars as a small-town lawyer defending an Army lieutenant in a murder case. It was written by John D. Volker, a former Michigan State Supreme Court justice. He based the story on a real case. Stewart uses the temporary insanity defense. As a result, he expertly deconstructs witness testimony to frame his client's state of mind.
But suppose you just go ahead and file that formal petition anyway. Of course, you're a little late, aren't you? Well, maybe His Honor will overlook that. And then I'd sort of like the jury to see that you think our insanity plea has some merit.
He examines the timeline of events in excruciating detail and battles the prosecution to include evidence for motive. Anatomy of a Murder is very much a movie written by a lawyer made for other lawyers.
Your Honor, I don't feel I can dignify this creature with any more questions.
Number 3, My Cousin Vinny.
I didn't pass my first time out.
That's okay. You probably passed the second time, right?
I'm afraid not.
3 times a charm?
Not for me, it isn't.
Legal thriller is a tried and true genre. Legal comedies, however, are few and far between. That could explain why lawyers love My Cousin Vinny.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
When 2 college kids from New York are charged with murder in Alabama, one calls his cousin Vinny in to defend them. Despite playing absurdity for laughs, My Cousin Vinny portrays a shockingly realistic trial compared to other films. We follow Vinny, a lawyer in his first trial ever, as he builds a case from the ground up.
Your clients are charged with first-degree murder. How they plead?
Your Honor, my
Don't
client...
talk to me sitting in that chair.
He told me to sit here.
All the while, like many lawyers in similar situations, he has to battle the bias of both the judge and the jury. His cross-examination techniques are true to life, as is his reliance on expert testimony and investigation to make his case.
You could positively identify the defendants for a moment of 2 seconds. Looking through this dirty window, this crud-covered screen.
Number 2, 12 Angry Men.
Who tells you that you have the right to play like this with a man's life? Don't you care?
Now, wait a minute. You can't talk like that to me.
I can talk like that to you.
It's a little difficult to imagine a film that takes place in a single room capturing an audience's attention. And yet, 12 Angry Men pulls it off easily thanks to great writing and incredible performances. At the end of a murder trial concerning a teen accused of killing his father, the jury must come to a verdict on a hot summer day.
This boy's been hit so many times in his life that violence is practically a normal state of affairs with him. I can't see 2 slaps in the face provoking him into committing murder.
Their inner biases bubble to the surface as they deliberate, eventually turning into angry arguments.
You sat in court with the rest of us. You heard what we did. The kid's a dangerous killer. You could see it.
He's 18 years old.
As one holdout juror convinces them one by one to reconsider seemingly straightforward evidence, tensions mount. The heavy responsibility of a juror is front and center as they debate a young man's future.
You saw this kid just like I did. You're not going to tell me you believe that phony story about losing the knife and that business about being at the movies? Look, you know how these people lie? It's born in them.
Before we unveil our top pick, here are some honorable mentions. Inherit the Wind. This Spencer Tracy-led classic dramatizes the Scopes monkey trial.
Can't you understand that if you take a law like evolution and you make it a crime to teach it in the public schools, tomorrow you can make it a crime to teach it in the private schools? And tomorrow you may make it a crime to read about it?
A civil action. Travolta stars as a lawyer who pays the price as a David taking on a Goliath corporation.
The purpose of these questions is not to embarrass or humiliate you, but rather to verify the information you've declared as your assets.
I understand.
Because what you're asking your creditors to believe with this petition is, well, it's hard to believe.
I know.
On the Basis of Sex. This biopic highlights Ruth Bader Ginsburg's fight for women's rights.
When I was in law school, there was no women's bathroom. It's amazing to me now that we never complained.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. To Kill a Mockingbird.
You've sworn to tell the whole truth. Will you do it?
Before 2015, author Harper Lee wrote exactly 1 novel, and it became a cornerstone of American literature. In 1962, To Kill a Mockingbird was adapted into a film starring Gregory Peck. The American Film Institute considers the movie the best courtroom drama of all time. To Kill a Mockingbird is loosely based on events during Lee's childhood in the South. It's the story of how racism infected every aspect of the legal system.
This case should never have come to trial. The state has not produced 1 iota of medical evidence that the crime Tom Robinson is charged with ever took place.
There are 2 juries in To Kill a Mockingbird, the biased jury in the film and the audience. Atticus Finch loses the former and wins over the latter thanks to a combination of solid lawyering and moving oratory. As in real life, the innocent can still be found guilty.
In this country, our courts are the great levelers. In our courts, all men are created equal.
Which movie court case got to you the most? Be sure to let us know in the comments.
Your Honor, my clients didn't do anything.
Once again, the communication process is broken down.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.